Hello and welcome to Toyfarerapy. I am your host, Dr. Modern Toyfare, and I am joined by my YouTube wife, the man who founded the Neck Illuminati, Mrs. Dr. Modern Toyfare, along with the man Modern Toyfare has full custody over, one of the former hosts of the Figuratively Speaking podcast, Nurse Nate. And
I have
of
no cool hand
Oh,
symbols.
you don't have any cool gang signs to
I
throw up?
don't.
That's
I
disappointing. We
don't.
have to work on that.
I know. We
And
are
of
gonna have to do
course,
something.
we would like to welcome to the couch our guest, the man who got a one-on-one with Mez himself, Paige of the Toy Page. How are you this week, Paige?
How you doing? Very well. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Great.
Absolutely amazing.
Nice.
Jarmar always bringing the energy. All right, so I know you've at least watched one episode, so you have a kind of rough idea of how this goes. But we're going to ask you a series of questions, kind of just try to figure out what you collect, why you collect, how, when, where, all that fun stuff. So let's get right into it. What lines do you collect?
I collect actually quite a bit of lines. I know that most people are probably more familiar with me with Mezco, but I collect Revoltech Yamaguchi. I also collect the Bandai Marvel stuff, Bandai Star Wars. Marvel Legends, I've kind of been picking and choosing lately because they just keep flooding the market with stuff. I mean, God, yeah. And there's some offshoot stuff that I'll collect too. Like if you guys see something from like Diamond Select and there's an accessory or something, I want to try to snag out of that. I think we all do that. Yeah, and that's I would say that's probably about it. I've been trying to stay away from Star Wars stuff because, like I said, there's just seems like there's a wave of stuff that just keeps coming after you. So I've been trying to cherry pick, but I used to collect Star Wars as well.
Yeah,
And
Star
that's
Wars
about it.
is a rough one just because you're no longer just worrying about the movies. They have so much stuff planned for Disney Plus that it's just going to be like wave after wave, and then each wave's going to have continuations because they aren't going to fit all the characters that they can into that.
Yeah. I actually I was talking to a friend, and you know how you have your certain connect friends and stuff like that. You go to them, you say, "Hey, I don't know about this character. Tell me about something." And I was looking at these, I guess from the Bad Batch,
Mm-hmm.
and I had all those lined up, and I'm watching, and I'm looking at the screen, and I haven't watched the series or anything, and I'm like, "There's four of them there. I only have three of them here," and I couldn't tell which one I had. And that's the point where I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? This is probably getting a little out of hand because I'm just collecting shit just to collect shit. And I'm like, I need to kind of reel it back a little bit. So I've been trying to take inventory and say, hey, man, just got to kind of calm down with some of this stuff.
Yes, I most recently have had that same feeling. So
Yeah. Which line was it?
Marvel Legends. It's too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It's too much. We were just talking because there's currently 4 waves that are trying to hit shelves, but then the 5th Eternals wave just keeps blocking them from getting out. And so who knows what we'll see and when we'll see. So good luck to anybody else, especially that Age of Apocalypse wave.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that was even a thing. Yeah.
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 It's trying. I saw 16 Cyclopses at a Target today.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know distribution is wild, but that's something else.
That's not even like getting a case of the set at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Paige, do you consider yourself then more of a fan of a particular like brand more so than say, like a property?
Yeah, I would, like I was saying before, I'm primarily known for Mezco, collecting Mezco. So I would say that's like my top brand.
Okay.
That's the one I would probably invest the most time and energy and money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an expensive brand, but the other stuff I'm glad because it kind of balances out. Revoltech, I really I like those figures. They're highly articulated. They're stylized. I'm really impressed with the quality of that brand, but they don't put out a lot of figures. You know, it's almost like Bandai does it too, except because they're playing catch up. But Revoltech Yamaguchi, I think I don't know. I can put maybe 2 or 3 of those, and you don't have to really worry about it. They don't put out a lot, so it's kind of like a little brand I can kind of enjoy on the side. But Mezco's my primary brand.
Yeah, the
So,
Amazing Yamaguchi
oh,
stuff. I feel like they also do a lot of like repaint. Like, don't they have like 3 different Iron Spiders that
Yeah,
like
and
they
then
did over the past year?
Harley.
And Harley too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Harley. Yeah, and then
Hmm.
they just did another. Well, they're coming out with another Deadpool,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, because they're
but
doing the X Force, right?
yeah, and I'm trying to think. They had an X-Force version and they had the regular version. The one that I saw, I think it was the X-Force and the Deadpool. They're redoing them both. So
Mm-hmm.
but it's like I said, those figures they only put out a couple, and so usually you can kind of get by and be okay. I've been pretty lucky with that because I think the only one I'm missing with that one's the what is it the smoke colored Venom. Have you ever
Oh,
seen
okay.
that one? It's like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
clear. Yeah, that's the one I'm missing from that, and I'm not paying that much money for that figure. It's like, that'll be the gaping hole in the collection. But it's a good line. I like him a lot.
Jamar, you had a question?
oh yeah, I was just gonna ask. Like, I mean, I don't know too much about you and like the Mezco
Yeah,
stuff. I know Michael himself is slightly assessed for a while, but do
yeah.
you like? Is there specific lines in Mezco, or is it just kind of like everything
It's
you go
everything.
for?
It's
Okay.
everything. Yeah, and Michael's I've come to him a couple times because he's actually he kind of knows my little obsession with it. And so I'll not only collect the figures, but if there's figure fodder, and he's been my
Yeah.
little crack dealer for that for a couple times. He's like, I got a Joker hat, I got a Joker coat. I'm like, yeah, give it to me, yeah, give it to me, give it to me. But he has this stuff, and so I know we're connected through that in the group, but it's all the line. It's Rumble Society, DC, Marvel. That's that line I've been completely involved in pretty much from the start. And so, and then of course it's offshooted into other stuff. Might will tell you they have the 5 point stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I've dipped into that too. So they have their fist in my pocket.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
especially if they got you with the 5 point stuff. They've definitely got you good.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They and those and they're really good at the sets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what originally got me on them was I just got into collecting, and I just started and I didn't know where to go. And I saw one figure that they had, and then I just started getting it from there. But I was lucky because I got in early before all of what you see going on now.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to pick up like I think it was like 2 Dark Knight Batman figures for like $200. Guy just wanted to offload it, and now
Wow.
that's the price of a current release sometimes, especially if you're talking like Conan or something like
Oh
that. It's
yeah,
like,
that Conan's insane for something that people like really slept on and didn't seem to care about, and then it came out and everyone is like, "I need it," and it's like $600 on eBay, and then like
ooh,
$200 in
yeah,
the groups, and
yeah,
kind of glad I didn't want that one.
yeah, yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, it's the total line.
Everything.
Pretty well everything within that Mezco 112. I don't do
Mhm.
Living Dead dolls or anything like that. I don't want you to think,
I
oh,
was
this
gonna
guy's
ask. I
like,
was like, do they got you with that on top of everything?
Everything.
no, 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 no. I've been really trying to stay away. Did you saw they did get me for the Godzilla, that
They
when it went
they
yeah,
they
I did.
almost got me. Almost got
Oh,
me.
got me too.
I see everybody's collective sigh was just like money just coming out of them. I thought, oh, it's
Yeah.
like these, yeah, they did get me for that, and then the 5 point stuff. But I think the Living Dead doll stuff, the little mega scale and the MDS stuff, I don't collect any of that stuff, and I don't do the statue, the Conan statue that the static fixed. I don't collect that, so I just mainly in the 112 and the 5 point stuff, but I don't keep financially responsible in that lane. So
Yeah, because
Sure.
yeah, that Godzilla
That's a
is
lot of responsibility.
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I had
Mezco is.
the
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
You go ahead.
I had the epiphany moment the other day. So I call it the vault. It's a joke, but inside I'm very lucky to have an extra room, and so all that stuff goes in there.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been kind of neglecting it, and so I went in the other day. I'm like, I need to clean off this workstation. I need to organize stuff. OCD was kicking in a little bit, and then when you just kind of sit down and you kind of just resonate someplace, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, look at all this shit. I'm like, I got to really kind of like pare down some of the stuff. And like you said, you're just looking at it, you're like, this money, 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 money. You're like, ah. So I've been really trying to get a little bit more responsible with that. Plus, there's only so much that you can really open and play with and
Mhm.
enjoy, before it just becomes overwhelming. And, collecting, like we talked about earlier, legends is just throwing stuff at you. I can't even keep up. Like I saw somebody today had what was like a red and the another color Hulk. It was like
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
the
the composite.
yeah.
yeah, I saw that and I go, when did this happen? And then somebody
Yeah.
said they can get the new Venom that's out too. I was like, I was like, man, I can't keep up. There's just so much stuff that you don't even know that's
Yeah, because
coming
they don't
out.
even
So
announce it all. It feels like some of the stuff gets like leaked, and then some stuff they kind of tease, and then suddenly it just shows up one day, and everyone's like, "Oh, completely forgot that was a thing."
yeah, I think maybe if you're on top, like Mexico stuff, I'm pretty on top of, very on top
Mm.
of. But I think if you're probably maybe in that genre, like if you're legends, you might know. But like that's a good reality check for yourself too. Like for me, when somebody says, I don't know how to do something in Mexico, or where do I go to do this, I put myself in that Marvel Legends thing. I'm like, I didn't know that came out.
Mm.
I don't want to be that guy going, yeah, well, we got to keep up, but in the community,
Yeah,
it's just
filthy
so
casuals. What's
no,
wrong
I
with
know,
you? Not
yeah,
knowing every single thing about all the action figures.
exactly. Like you're no fan, get out of here. But it's nice because it puts perspective on things. You're like, it makes you kind of treat people the way that you kind of want to be treated.
Mm.
Communities, we all know they get a little toxic sometimes, and
Oh
so
yeah. Like,
he's like, oh yeah,
oh, trust me, I know. Especially like
yeah,
sadly enough, even in the Mezco groups, it gets pretty bad pretty quick because people are like, "Oh,
yeah.
you want this figure that just came out a week ago for retail? Good luck." Like
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen
it's
that probably 47 times on a bunch of Conan like in search of posts, and I'm just like every time I'm just like, "Oh man, those are the same people who in like a month are gonna want something that's like 2 years old for a good price."
yeah. I really try to tell people in those groups, man. Like I don't know how you guys kind of see it, and I don't know, like, 'cause, this is the first time I met both of you guys too, and I do appreciate you guys having me on. It's kind of funny because everybody's walk of life is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always sitting there telling people, I'm like, you don't know who you're dealing with, the person that you might be throwing that weird emoji to, the laughing emoji, like, oh, hey,
Mm-hmm.
man, hook me up or something like that. And you're laughing at them. That's the same person that 2 months, like you said, it's going to be different because maybe they have something that you want. So
Mm-hmm.
those community ties, you got to kind of build that stuff. And I don't know if it's because I'm on the board so much, because I gotta watch all of it,
Mm-hmm.
but people become very familiar, and
Oh
I
yeah.
can, yeah. You have experience too, and I'm sure both you guys too as well. There's always somebody that you can look at and you go, oh, that's John X. John X is this person,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of get that name and that reputation. So you got to kind of watch out what you're doing because you never know when you might need somebody in the community to kind of help you out, help you through something. So
Yeah, that's one good thing
That's
is you
awesome.
can make those connections with those people, and then it does kind of flourish, and you help them, they help you versus thing, and it is sad to see how many people kind of take the opposite approach and are like, oh well, no one ever helped me, so screw everybody else, and it's like, well, that's kind of the reason why no one ever helped you, but
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's I don't know, like so you guys collect. I mean, I watched a couple of shows, but I'm not well versed in what you guys collect. I mean, I'm pretty sure communities are all different. Like, do you guys have the same experience, or is it?
I would say, I mean, I'm Mr. Sociable, antisocial guy. So like
Yeah,
my group is people I know locally, and Michael out in his far away land. So I don't really interact with collectors too much, but in other communities though, it's kind of like all the same, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of the individual like groups that I belong to can be like that. They're very uh, high and mighty in some areas. But what I like, I am involved in a local group that does do like regular meets and founders a really good community online of, making sure that we're helping people out. And so that's been really nice. They really do a great job of monitoring that. It is all local, so it's not just to like one brand or one type of property or anything like that. But that's an awesome community to be in, because I highly
Yeah.
recommend, if you can get into any local groups and stuff like that, always give it a shot.
Do you think it's because maybe it's smaller? And
That, and I think that, people have to be their true selves. I mean, you can't hide
yeah,
behind, a persona or,
Yeah.
just an
yeah,
avatar, so.
yeah, because you're meeting people face to face.
Right.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day about it, and a lot of the guys that I guess if you're in these big highly populated areas like California or New York, and they're kind of condensed. I was talking to one of them, and they said, "Oh yeah, I see this person all the time at the cons," and I go, "How does that go?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, if you have all this animosity online,
Oh.
and then you finally get that person in front of you, like, how's it go?" It's like, "Oh, it never pans out, nothing ever happens and stuff." And so
Mm.
it's just kind of weird how you said, and groups that are smaller, I like them better too. Our group is
Mhm.
the Mezco group we have. I think it's considered the second largest, but that's because there's a lot of trimming involved. Like when I get in there, I vet a lot of people. You don't have these fake profiles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy asked me one time, he goes, "Oh, no disrespect. I don't want anybody to take this the other way either." But somebody said, "Oh, you don't have as many members as the other groups, or you're not doing this and that." And I said, "I would rather have 800 people that are quality than 8,000 people,
Yeah.
that are just fake
Oh, for
profiles."
sure.
Yeah. And it makes it a little bit more personalized too, because you do get to know people. And
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, if local meetups and stuff like that, if that's a component that can help collecting in general. I'm always trying to think about that stuff. Like, I don't know if he agrees with it or if he knows, but I'm always trying to like make that that community and that group a little bit better, because man, it was very toxic for a long time, and it just takes the fun out of collecting. It really does.
Yeah.
100%, because I know there's other groups I'm in that are, like you said, that just don't really maintain the members the way that you do, because you're very active in the group that you run. Like, I constantly see you posting and doing stuff in it, versus like some of the other ones, the admins are like there, but unless there's a real problem, they kind of just let the Wild West be the Wild West, and it gets out of hand pretty quickly.
And well, I take a lot of toilet breaks, so just kidding. Well, I mean, yeah, it is. It's just it's a passion project. I'm really focused on it, and like I said, there was a time when it was just really bad, and the focus was to try to make it better. I always keep saying that. Uh, so like collecting in general, you want to. It's a part of your life that you use as an escape. Everybody goes to work. Everybody has these responsibilities, your wife, your job, maybe dogs, kids, and stuff like that. And then I don't know how much you guys, I'd be very interested in hearing that, but like I don't know how much time you guys have, total to do whatever you're doing, whether it's taking pictures or just opening something up and enjoying. But I know for a fact, I think we can all agree the fact that when you do have that time, the last thing you want to do is log on into some place and somebody's like, complaining or saying something sucks or talking about other members. It's like, no, man, I come here for however amount of time I have
Mm.
just to enjoy things. I don't want anybody to ruin it. And so that was the goal for me. It was, to make it a place where you can kind of come and enjoy.
It definitely shows,
Yeah.
because yeah, your group definitely has a lot less of the problems that most of the Facebook groups I'm in, and that's across all of the collecting, not just Mezco. Like figure arts, Storm collectibles, even like Marvel Legends. It gets overwhelming sometimes, and it like. To your point, like wrestling figures, I used to be into that, and there was one group in
Yeah.
particular ran by a wrestling podcast, and they borderline encouraged the toxicity of it, and it just was like, this isn't fun anymore. And I just eventually was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I want to mess around with wrestling figures. It really does kind of ruin it. But let's move on to question number 2 here. So you've mentioned all the lines that you collect. Is there
Mhm.
a line that, like, 100%, whether it's financial reasons, if it's just you don't like the figures, what have you, that you would never consider diving into?
Mm. Actually, no. I don't think that there's anything that I wouldn't. I think I'm pretty open-minded to certain things. Like I know there's certain brands that are probably get labeled certain things, like even Mezco. Mezco gets labeled with certain, stigmas that they have. But I, like we were talking about earlier, I'll cherry pick stuff because maybe there's something I like, and I've heard things about McFarlane figures.
Mm.
The one thing about me is like I've learned that. I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from collecting in general, but even in the Mezco group. And it's not like geared toward Mezco. It's more of like, I don't know, like these collector life lessons. And I've always kept an open mind with something. Somebody will say, "Oh, McFarlane's trash" or something like that. And the other day I saw, and I'm gonna butcher it because I don't really know the character, but I think it's the Batman Who Laughs, the one that has the visor over his face, and
Yeah,
I'm
like
not
the
familiar with the
spiked,
story.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Then he had a set of wings, and all I kept hearing was McFarlane was it's not a good company. And so I'm like, well, I really want the wings for this shot that I want to try to do eventually. And so he has the wings, so I took it out and I actually messed with it the other day for a couple of minutes, and I mean there was nothing wrong. To me, there wasn't. I mean, the sculpt work looked really great, but I'm always open to any of that stuff. I don't ever try to discount a figure because maybe somebody said something about it. The GI Joe line that came out the other day, the retro wave from Super Seven. And I looked at it,
Mhm.
and there's the same thing. There's just so much GI Joe. Mezco's doing GI Joe, Hasbro's doing GI Joe, and they're throwing all these different things at you. Like, hey, buy 10,000 Alley Troopers and buy 10,000 Cobra Troopers and stuff. And it's like, so you're kind of almost pigeonholed in some of these companies. Like, okay, I'm only going to collect this company because that's the company that I'm in, and I don't want to stray too far out.
Hmm.
But I saw that, and I was like, it's just not for me. But I didn't bash it or say, no, that's dogs. It's terrible. Single joint, all this other stuff that people do. And I've learned that lesson in the Mesco group that I can just look at something and go, you know what? Maybe eventually down the line, I'll give it a chance. But there's nothing that I close my mind to. Maybe My Little Pony or something like
Well, I mean, I have a follow up question to that. Have you seen anything made by Playmates recently? No,
Oh, was it that weird like goopy thing today? Was that it, the
no,
pink thing?
no. I
No.
just have like a long history of my anti Playmates, even though I've given them thousands of dollars. But
Six
they
thousand.
as a
Mm-hmm.
huge turtle fan, they do like
Mm.
constantly just reprint the exact same moding over and over and over again. And we just recently received some very interesting Ninja Turtle slash Cobra Kai collaboration.
Oh
That is,
yeah.
it's hurtful, as a fan of the property and the things that they make. But I just wondered if maybe you, being open minded, may not want to look at those, and that might be the first line that you swear off of.
I feel like you're pushing me towards that would be my first one. It's like, yeah, Playmates, and we join and watch some
No,
Brotherhood and be like, yeah, Playmate sucks. No,
I
I
would be
don't.
remiss if I didn't bring that up.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen some of that stuff. Like I saw the other day when I went into Target and I was looking at stuff. They had the Cobra Kai. I don't know if that's it, but they had a
Yeah,
turtle and they had Johnny in it. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, and of course I'm looking at it. I'm like, that's cool. That's a white gi. Maybe I can take the gi off, and I can. I'm
That's
always trying
fair.
to find something. Yeah,
That's
it was,
fair.
but no, I'm trying to think of a line that I've looked at, and I'm like, there's no way that I would. I had so I used to be into NECA when they had the turtles, when they were doing everything, when they were doing the sets and everything like that.
Hmm.
I got the SDC set, the cartoons and stuff like that. And then, of course, with their distribution and the website and everything that was selling out, I kind of got away from that. And then one day I think I was trying to do a pre-order for something. I didn't get it. And I was just like, you know what, that's it. I just don't I have to deal with this with Mezco right now. I don't want to deal with Mezco and NECA. And so I just kind of split the line. I didn't go into a group and announce that I was quitting and then walk out the door and
You
all
didn't
that
like
stuff.
put a 3 paragraph thing about how Randy from NECA wronged you and that you dishonor on him and his cow and his family and
Yeah,
I don't think it counts then, Paige. Sorry.
yeah,
I
you're
know.
still on that line. You never left.
Yeah, and Michael knows I love writing paragraphs, and so
Yeah.
that's the inside joke about it because he knows I love writing that kind of stuff. But no, I was just like, no, I just said, yeah, no, that's how they are, and of course, as soon as I do it, I think a month later their distribution got 10 times better. Like everybody can get it, it's all in the stores, and you can get the pre-order. And I'm like, I quit that line thing, but I was really heavy into NECA, and I just couldn't stop. I couldn't justify collecting them anymore. But it wasn't anything that I was shutting the door on,
Mhm.
because the other day I just picked up, what was it? Ghostface. I think I picked up
Okay.
that the other day. So no, I don't have any scorned, stories about collecting with any kind of line, because I think I just look at things a lot differently, and I just looked at it as, oh, I'll just tear that off and I'll use it for one of my other figures.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I could never shut the door on NECA completely because there will always be some accessory in there that I'll be like, well, I spent
Yeah,
$30 on a shot glass and some whiskey. Let's do this.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel it. It's there's always something in there to entice you, and then you're just sitting there and you're like, well, now I have to figure out what to do with this, all the other stuff I don't want, and hope someone is like, oh yeah, I want that. I don't care if it's complete, and try to recoup some of that
Yeah.
money. Otherwise, you're getting some real expensive accessory sets.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about like guys like that are in the group like yourself. And I haven't done that project yet, but there was, I wanted a hat. And that stuff's expensive, and I'm
Oh yeah.
thinking, do I really want to destroy it? And then you put your post up, and I'm like, there he is. It's like I can just grab this little thing, and I think, I mean, you have a great concept of it too. I think we can even work something out with it as well. It's like, oh, he's a collector, and I think that's kind of one of the missing components with things that I guess maybe people don't understand is like, even though some of these high prices are in groups and stuff like that, if you're connecting with people, and just like you said, locally or even on the internet, you're building these foundations. People, I think, for the most part, people aren't out there trying to like rape people. I
Yeah.
mean, there's an opportunity there to kind of cash in with some of those things, and whoever does whatever they do, that's totally up to you. But in the long run, you're hurting these other relationships that can help like later on. And it doesn't, I mean, you did it. It doesn't take much. I mean, we don't talk every day. We talk, pretty frequently, either
Hmm.
on the board or maybe through things, but there's that relationship there, and you kind of understand. And then it also inspires people to do stuff. Like you did that, and I'm like, you know what? I need to do something for somebody. Somebody was missing something the other day, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Mike hooked me up. I'm like, I need to step forward and also go through that community thing, because you're there, you're kind of front and center, show people this is kind of how you kind of operate, and maybe that inspires people to do a little bit better. Not trying to be that guy that's like rah rah community, conform.
But it needs it because some, especially with like parting things out wasn't always a thing until like the past couple years, where like it's become a lot more popular. Where especially with Mezco, people are buying them, and then here's the naked body, here's the costume, here's all the accessories and
Yeah.
stuff. And a lot of those people, like even on eBay, the prices are insane. You're if you even like go through and like add up the prices of the individual pieces on eBay, they usually are more expensive total than what the like aftermarket value of the figure is at that point. And it's just like how I don't know, it's worse the fact that someone's willing to pay that or that you're asking that. Like it's just absurd to me. Because like I'll usually go through and I'll be like, okay, so here's what I don't want. Here's what I paid versus what's going for. What's a fair price? Oh, this is what's going for. Definitely don't want to go that high because no one's gonna even remotely be crazy enough to pay that. And then kind of like go from there. And I see some of this stuff and I'm just like, I want that, but I would never think in a million years to pay like $30 for a tiny
Yes.
like sword or
So,
pistol or
yeah.
something. And I'm like, I can't bring myself to do it. And then I'll go and buy a NECA figure to get a shot glass for $30. So
What was the NECA figure that has the shot glass?
It's from the Thing. It's the Kurt Russell figure from the first one they
Oh
released. He comes
yeah.
with a whiskey bottle, the shot glass. He comes with like a
Hmm.
gun, a hat, a bunch of stuff, and I just it's one of those things that anytime you find the little accessory pieces separately, like someone made them, they're always
Yeah.
really expensive. And I'm just like, well, at
Mhm.
that point, I could get the figure, and then I could sell some of the figure for like half of what I paid, and I'm still coming out on a little more on par than if I were to go and buy a 3D printed and painted and sanded and stylized
Yeah.
thing that someone put a bunch of effort in. I mean, good for them because they usually look stellar. I just can't justify some of those prices sometimes to pay the local artist's price for it.
Well, you're amongst friends, so we all understand.
Yeah. This is a safe space here on the couch, so
Yeah,
Just
you're
lightly.
very safe. Yeah.
all right. So do you have because you mentioned cherry picking, is there any line, because I think you kind of already answered this with Mezco, but you're a completionist, you have to have every single figure, or even if it's just a specific character, like I have to have every version of this character.
Right. Yeah. So I started with Mezco pretty early, and I got very fortunate through the community. That's why I really like to try to give back because I had people that were helping me with figures that I didn't have and I had no clue about, or I just didn't know how to get without getting raped, pretty much. Because you know how those prices are. And this
Mm-hmm.
was back in the earlier days. And so with Mezco, I am a completionist. I've been very fortunate. So everything that's in that line that you've seen or you haven't seen yet, I'm running 100% at that. And Marvel Legends, I used to kind of carry that over with that stuff, but there's just so much. And then now I was messing with everything. But Mezco's probably the only line that I really complete like that. It's just you run into certain things like if you miss a drop or something like that, and then you have to go to aftermarket, or um, it just gets very expensive, and if you're not fully invested, and then if you're trying to do that across multiple lines, I don't. You're bound to get stuck somewhere with something, and so I've
You know,
really. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask then. So with Mezco, they do a lot of different like things. So they have the Rumble Society, they have their comic characters, but now they've branched out and they've done movie characters, and especially they've done horror. Like they just announced Halloween 2 Michael Myers this past week. So, do you have you come into the issue of getting a figure that of something you didn't really like, and how do you handle that? How do you process that?
Yeah, so Michael will probably tell you that in the Nesco community, like I'm very pro Nesco, and so sometimes it might come off as, oh, there's nothing they could put a sticker on a piece of trade and he'll like it, and it's not the case. There's just like any company, excuse me, there are hits and misses, and there's a couple of figures I have in there that I just don't mess with a lot, and it's mainly female figures. It's the Harley, gosh, it's Catwoman, both
Oh,
versions. And
poor Catwoman.
yeah, yeah, poor girl. Poor girl. Those knees and I always think it's not funny, but like there's times when I'm looking at something online and it's just the experience part of it. But you'll always see somebody, they'll take a figure and they say, oh, my arm broke or my knee broke and stuff like that. And a lot of it's just not being familiar with the company or with the body. And so they're really I'm not. I don't want to say bad, but when they put out a figure, sometimes the arm is twisted a certain way. So you
Mm.
would have it like this naturally come out. Sometimes they're like this, and so your natural instinct is go, oh, let me check these joints. Oh, it's not going. It's not going. Oh, screw this company. It's their
Mm.
fault. It's like no, you got to kind of check and stuff like that. And so, um, those are the figures that are kind of like for me, the female figures that I look at and I go, but they've done a lot of improvement with some of those figures over time. But I'm trying to think of another one there is. It's mainly the female figures, and I don't have a really big problem with some of the single joints, like we've seen, people kind of lose their shit about. And
I can't
now
believe this
there's a
figure
running,
can't like pick his own like ear at all times. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. I was messing around with this guy today about it because he said, "Oh, Conan is like 90 degrees. It can't go past 90." And I'm like, "Are you looking at him like anatomically? Like, look his anatomy. It's like his bicep is huge. Do you think that you can do it?" It's like, ah. Jason and I have a running joke on the hangout where I say, you know, probably say 80% of the people in the world, they can't touch their shoulder with their hand, but yet they want this average character to, like, dynamic characters I totally get, but do you really need, like you said, do you need the Jason Voorhees to be able to, scratch his own ass with his fingers? Like, no, you don't need that. It's not
That's
that
what he's
big of
got
a
a
deal.
machete for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just sticks it back behind there. So, but yes, to answer your question, there are some, and the way I deal with it is I just go, okay, maybe they'll make another version or something like that. I don't, because I get where the question is, because you're a completist. Is like, do you just take that one and go and just toss it out, and that's the whole? But I I think I apply the same thing with the lines to a figure. There's certain things that I really like about it. Like Harley, she gets a lot of bad press, but those face sculpts are very
Oh
good.
yeah.
They're very good. And there's certain things, even though Wonder Woman, she's single jointed. I don't think that there's anything wrong with her. I wish she had more range and stuff, but there's certain things that I'll just look at with the figure, and it kind of like doesn't glaze over the fact that they can't do something, but I don't let it. That's it. I don't let it ruin my experience. I don't let one or two aspects of something go. You know what? This figure's trash. This company's trash. I just don't even want to collect it anymore because they didn't conform to my idea of what I thought the product should be. It's,
Mm.
what do I like about it? And I might play with it a little bit, and I might say, you know what? you know, I'll go mess with another figure that I like because that's the only thing I'm trying. I'm just trying to have a good experience with whatever it is. There's too much other bad shit out there to try to ruin the experience.
I agree. I'm just glad there's
Absolutely.
someone else out there that appreciates Wonder Woman as much as I did, because
Yeah,
I got made
yeah,
fun of a lot on weekly purchases one week when I had got that was when Wonder Woman came out, and I'm like, oh yeah, they really improved on like their female body, because usually like Catwoman, she had real weak knees that if you didn't heat them up, they usually were stuck and they'd snap, and Harley
yeah.
had like wrist peg issues if you weren't careful, and I was like, yeah, Wonder Woman's like the new female body is super impressive, and then they just had a field day with it. So it's nice to hear that I'm not alone with the appreciation of Wonder Woman.
Mhm. Well, they're gonna have another body, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
you
they're
it's
updating
gonna
both
be.
the male and female bodies, aren't they?
Yeah, they actually have a couple. So these new figures that are going to come out, some of them are kind of character specific, and so they're going to have bodies that are like those for like Dr. Zayas. He's a smaller body, and if you tear him down, there's component or parts that are kind of like vapor.
Mm-hmm.
He just has a padded suit, and
Yeah.
so but they usually try to have either a body and they kind of modify it, or they have a completely new one. And so what happens is, I think when I was talking to him, he was telling me that they had, I guess he was telling me how many bodies they had, and then he told me the number of bodies that they're going to be developing in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good because the female body, that's obviously been needing some retooling, but that's one that they really wanted to focus on. So that's why you don't see a lot of these new female characters that are coming out, and the ones that they are kind of, you can tell that those are going to be like the test trial ones, like the Ghost Spider, Spider
Mm-hmm.
Gwen, Sue Storm, those kinds. And then I think you'll probably see something a little bit better maybe on Tangerine when she comes out. So they're working on it. It just takes time.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think he said something like, what was it? Those molds, or I can't remember. He said they were like 100 grand or something like that for the Joker Buck mold. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money.
Yeah. A
You
lot
got
of
to
money to
recoup it.
invest, especially like when you've got the community online like complaining all the time, and then you're spending all this money to try to make it
Wow.
better, and it's like got to be hard on
Yeah,
them to keep going, like, man, they don't appreciate anything we do, and we're spending all this money just to get them so Joker can sit slightly more with his knees bent, or some nonsense. And yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy, like, because I do remember when you did that interview with him, he did mention that like they are going from like I think 3 or 4 male bodies to like thought he said like 7 or something like that, or 8. Like there was a significant like increase because they were gonna have new like ones for each like size, like new suited, new like the hero like muscular, and then like a thin one. And so I'm curious to see what figures end up getting those going forward. So I feel like we already know this answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Are you more mint on card, free the figure, and like for the figures you do open, what do you do with your accessories? Because we already know that you're just like me and you love them accessories, so we got to know how you keep all those nice and organized.
Yeah. So I am I'm still trying to break out of that habit too. I'm an old school collector with Mexico. So as you mentioned before, they had some QC issues earlier on because of the factory. I guess they were working with certain plastics and stuff like that. So like you said with Catwoman. So I'm trained to buy like 2 or 3 or something. Yeah. So you can see where that's going.
Oh yeah.
So so I have feet in both sides. So I will take something and I will open it, and then I have one that's just kind of sitting there. And so, like I said, I make sure I at least open every one of my figures, of course, to check it. But then I've gotten into this habit now where, like I don't know how if you guys are too familiar with it, but the boxes are huge. You got to take them out, put everything in, put everything back in the trays. It just got kind of, actually, I'll show you here. It got kind of a little bit tedious for me. And so what I did was Michael's has these little cases, and there's actually it's a photo case. He's like, I heard the story. Yeah. But they have a photo case and they actually have a handled case. So if you want to go to your friend's house, you can carry that little thing with you, just like we did when we were kids. And this will hold everything. It'll hold mainly your small to medium body figures. And I just take everything and I'll stick them in little baggies. I'll put them in there, and that way they're easy to take in and take out. I don't have to worry about the box, but I usually keep one open. I keep one kind of on stash, and that's for different reasons. Before it was to make sure that if something broke or something, I had an extra, and now it's ingrained in me. So what I usually do now is if I have an extra or something, if I buy, I'll like look at somebody in the group who maybe missed out or something like that. And I'll go, okay, yeah, I got an extra, and I kind of do that. But I do have one open and one mint on card, and that's how I store things. It just works out a little bit better for me.
Yeah, that's the exact same cases I have for my Mezco figures. Is the big old like suitcase with all the little ones in there for the photos. Those went on sale like a month or 2 ago, or actually it was longer than that, probably like 6 months ago. And I was like, all right, I'm buying like 3 of these now before they go back up to full price.
Yeah, they're like $41. I think I usually tell people just kind of like watch out around those special times like graduation, holidays, or anything like that where you're going to be collecting memories, and those things will usually drop down to about $21, and if you're really lucky you'll see them drop down to 14. So 41, 14.
Yeah,
I'm all in when they go 14. I head on up there and I grab my stuff, and I'll buy like 1 or 2 cases. But they're, like I said, they're cool for the average figure, like the small to medium. But when you start getting maybe figures that have like armor or something, or the Krieg, or obviously you're not going to put Hulk or Bluto in there. But when you start getting to the larger figures, it kind of gets like, man, but this is great, man. I have a whole case of like Black Skulls, like Death Brigade. They're all in there, and all the stuff fits in there. So
yeah, it's definitely nice. So then with the figures you do open, and then you put all the accessories and everything, do you keep the boxes for those?
Yeah. I actually the other day they sent me a big box, that the Mezco's been shipping out the Black Skulls Death Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
And if you bought one, you got one for free. Well, they sent you this big box. It looks like a Sentinel box. And so what I did was I took everything out of that, and then I put all my boxes in there. I broke them down, put them in there, and then they went in the attic.
Oh.
You never know. Like I'm sure somebody would buy it if it was loose or something like that. But I mean, if you have the box, it always helps. But there's that space issue again. You
Mm-hmm.
know, pretty soon I'm gonna be like opening cabinets in the kitchen and Nesco shit's falling out. That's when it becomes a problem. So you gotta kind of reel it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I that was the big problem with me with a lot of the boxes for figures is I just ran out of room. So I was like, all right, what's getting recycled and what's sticking around? Like, had to kind of be picky and choosy with it because I actually at one point bought a giant like one of those like garage like metal shelves that's sitting in my closet that's gonna be there forever even when I move because I don't think I can get that thing out at this point, and it just has
And
empty boxes from floor to ceiling on it of everything I've bought, and I went through and I'm like, okay, let's go through. Like I think it started with like Legends stuff and like stuff that's like retail that's never really gonna explode in value with or without the box. I'm like, okay, don't need that,
mhm.
and it's a pain to try to go dig through it because you're always just sitting there like, but what if? And you just can never quite like always pull the trigger on getting rid of some stuff.
Yeah, I just unboxed. This is bad. Like I've had a couple of days off, and so I go through and I'm like, I need to get rid of these boxes. So I'll unbox. I just unboxed that. What was it? The Infinity War redo of the Black Order.
Mm.
You know,
Oh
I
yeah,
yeah. So I just unpacked that, did my little, plastic baggie, throw it in the black Tupperware or whatever. And then I got on Amazon and that thing's like 288 or something like that. I'm sitting
yeah.
there thinking, I don't know why I just unboxed that. I could have sold it because that thing's been sitting in the box for how long? I mean, do you guys throw your boxes away or do you keep
Yeah,
them?
generally.
Yeah.
Unless it's
Or-
something like really nice. Like Mezco, I could see the couple that I do have, I do keep all those boxes, but Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series, no, those
Yeah,
boxes go. Now, Dragon Ball figure arts, yes, I keep those boxes.
imports.
Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 I don't plan on selling them, but when I die, somebody wants to sell them for me.
Where's
That
the
makes it a
shipper
little
box?
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, where's the shipper
Well,
box?
yeah.
He is mint on card now. No.
Mm-mm. Oh,
But yeah.
hey, I I used to get razzed really bad in a group that I was in. I would get it, and I still have the habit now, but I would take pictures, and you know how people take pictures of their boxes holding or do whatever like that. I kind of like went overboard, so it was kind of like how these guys do these elaborate setups. I would do that for the box, and so like I have one. I got the White Skull agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that thing up here. I backlit it with this red gel light and shit. It's just for a box. And I'm doing all this framing and everything. And I did it, and the guy goes, "Oh, that's a cool picture. Why don't you take a picture of the figure inside the box?" And I always used to get razzed for it because I would just take these pictures of my boxes and I would take them out and check them, but I never
Mm-hmm.
like really kept them out. I think only within the last 2 years as I started. So I completely understand the men on card, aspect of it because I still, like I said, I still have a leg in it. I still do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever brings you happiness, man.
Yeah.
At
I
the
mean,
end
at
of the
that point,
day.
that's how you get a job, like being the person who like presents that at the con, like get the backlit for the box, get everyone excited for it on display.
I wish, man. I really wish. It would be a nice. It would be a nice thing. It's kind of a hard thing to kind of break into, but it would be cool to do some of that stuff. But there's so much competition. There's so many talented artists out there.
Oh yeah,
You got guys, that are just doing really good work.
yeah. That's one thing that a future project I have planned is trying to get some of those like some of like the top like most talented people with that kind of stuff together and trying to get more eyes on like the toy content on YouTube because I feel like even I follow probably over half of my subscriptions on YouTube are toy related.
Mhm.
And if I get like I pull up my YouTube homepage and my recommended screen, maybe 10% of it is like toy related. And I'm like, this math doesn't add up. Like, how is this a thing?
Yeah,
So like I'm trying to like figure out a way to kind of get more light on that so we can get more of that because YouTube always sends out those surveys and was like, I don't know, maybe be more interest focused like you claim you are instead of like hey, here's all these other videos that you probably aren't going to watch, or here's a bunch of news that's going to make you real sad. Not the 50 toy channels that you follow.
Yeah, I Facebook, I noticed that too, and then but YouTube, I really Instagram's really
Oh
bad
yeah,
about it.
Instagram.
I don't
I
know how
give it
that
up on.
algorithm works. Yeah, I looked. So my toy page, I only use it for that.
Mhm.
It's only for toy stuff. So I'll go to other toy related, content creators and stuff, and that's it. And so it's primarily only used for that. I don't go searching for anything else. And so I forgot my girl sent me something on TikTok. I looked at that and now my feed is flooded with this stuff. And I go, I don't even go to these places
On.
specific. Yeah. And then I'm like, I gotta cancel this shit out. And so I'll sit there and I'll go to a bunch of my friends and I go like, and it's still flooded with this stuff, like it's always the chick that's dancing, So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool,
That's
it's
like
cool, and I'm like,
75% of TikTok.
And
yeah, but
most
it's all
messages from
vape.
Nate, but
It's
appreciate it, Nate.
He's like,
always K-pop.
hey,
Always K-pop.
mm,
Yeah, Instagram's algorithm. I don't understand it. Like I 9 times out of 10 I see the same like 15 people out of the like 3,000 people I follow on their stuff, and I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know what these other people are posting for all their toy stuff? So I have to like go through and actually, like you said, like go to your friends' pages and like start scrolling through and liking things and trying to correct it. But it always is like, no, these are the ones that you've looked at the most. Just keep looking at those. I'm like, but why?
But I don't want to. I want
Yeah,
new stuff.
Want
I want, I
more.
want, I want, I want I want a variety. I don't want to just look at the same 15 people every day. Like it, not that they're not great, content to follow, but
yeah,
otherwise, why am I following like 3,000 people to only see 15 people's work? Like, just seems kind of counterproductive.
yeah. I always wonder if that's like boosting pages and stuff like that. I know some people do that kind of stuff, paid ads and stuff like that to be able to push their stuff in there. So I
Awesome.
always wondered if that's what it was.
I will say this because I do know people who have done that. It's the worst thing you could possibly do, just because the second you do it, you've essentially pigeonholed yourself that Instagram will not. Same thing with Instagram and like Google stuff. It will not show anybody your content unless you're paying for it once you do it once. So
Oof.
it will pretty much like guarantee that you've just completely both borderline been blacklisted on Instagram because you paid once to boost it just to see if it worked, and now they're like, no one will ever see your page again.
Shame.
All right, well, this brings us to our final question, and probably one of the most interesting ones, and that is going to be, what is your holy grail figure, and do you own it, or are you still trying to find it?
No, like I said, I've been very lucky with Mezco. So, all the ones that you see,
Mm-hmm.
the black and white Batman, and all these other the black and white Judge Dredd Lawmaster, the White Skull, all those I've been, like I said, through the community and due diligence and money. I've been very fortunate. Yeah, you always have to have that little extra.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate and lucky enough to be able to have the whole collection. And then there's some that I have that haven't, you know, been out there. I think there's a Spock that I have that was a prototype, and I think there's only three made. And I got really lucky. Yeah, there was and I'm Trekkie, and so I think I worked on this guy for probably about 2 years. He would not come down on the price, and not. I know it's a long story, but it's not the Grail. You're like, why are you telling us this? But there was that one. I worked on it for like 2 years, and I was able to finally get that, and that's in there. So that's like rare. So I've been most of the ones that I would collect through Mezco, I have, and so I'm very lucky with that. I don't know if there's one that I am still looking for because they're all there. But as far as the ones I have in my collection, what I would consider like a Grail, um, God, man, I think I'll say two. Can I say
Okay.
two or just
Yeah.
one?
I mean,
Okay,
Jamar had
so
like 10, so you're welcome to have as many as you
oh
want.
wow. I need to hear that list too. Um, So one is the only because I think I'm trying to figure out a way to do this with my like channel too, because I think every figure has a story, and I want to try to incorporate that into like these things that I'm doing, like these breakdowns and stuff. But one of them, I had a good story about the Asia Gold exclusive, that white Shadow Assassin.
Mhm.
Uh, there was just a bunch of little events that happened. So there's some sentimental value to that one that kind of got stuck. So that's a grail for me. And then also there's a story, and I guess I'll tell you about that really quick if you have time. But
Hey,
um,
it's your
but
session. Take as long as you need.
oh, thank you. Oh
I
well,
bill by the hour.
I mean,
well.
they might fall asleep, but I'm over here on the East Coast, so I'm 3 hours behind you, so I've got some time.
The other one is the black and white Judge Dredd Lawmaster. You know, it's the white one. They only made 50 of them. And so really quick, so this is earlier on. There's not a lot of hype about it. I get on eBay. This guy has it, and he had put it up for I think $200. Yeah, and that was I think lower than what it was when they were actually selling them.
Mm.
So I contact them and I say, "Hey, is everything good with this? Is there any pieces missing, or is there any damage to the box?" I would even have accept it if there was damage to the box because that's a pretty good price.
Mm.
And they only made 50 of them. So I said, "Hey, any problems?" He goes, "No, it's sitting in my storage unit." He says, he goes, I want like 225 for it. I go, okay. And I'm like, I'm not gonna tread on this guy, even though he said 200. I got 225 sold, man. He goes, sure, sounds good. And so I finalized the payment, and I don't think this guy knew what he had. And so I give him the money, and then he says, okay, well, I have my daughter or something like that this week. I'm not going to be able to mail it out. I'm like, okay. And so he ghosts me for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, damn it. And so you're in that position where, like, I can't really complain
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I've already paid, but then also this is kind of like a grail. And I kept thinking to myself, I go, this guy, he knows what he has and he's just trying to wait me out.
Mhm.
And so I contact him again. He keeps me going for another 2 weeks. And then I tell him, I'm like, okay, here's my power play. And I was like, hey man, I was like, I know that you said you had some stuff going on. I was like, if you don't mind, I'd really appreciate if you send me the figure. I've been waiting for it for a while. I kind of paid for everything. And he was, yeah, don't worry, man, you'll get it, you'll get it. And I was like, okay. I said, that's cool. I said, but I got to give you another week, and if not, then I'm gonna have to request a refund. And I'm like, bite it, bite it, bite it. He goes, dude, I promise I'll have it out the next day. I go, sure thing. He sends it to me and stuff like that. And when he sent it to me, he not only sent me, I guess it's kind of like a makeup present. He not only sent me that, but he sent me like another Grail figure on top of it. And so that one kind of has some sentimental value because I didn't think I was going to get it.
Mm.
And then part of it is I was in transition moving. That's why I wanted him to send it to me because I didn't want to be moving out. And
Mhm.
then they send it, and then all of a sudden they send it back to him or somebody stole it.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to get him to send it to me. And so I was moving in the process and there was all this anxiety. And so when I finally get this figure, I'm like, oh God. So I open it, check it, make sure everything go fine. He writes me a little handwritten note. He's like, hey, I apologize about this. And in a way, I don't know if he knew or not, but like I said, he sent me like another Grail figure. It was like one of the Dark Mounts that he had. He goes, I had this and that too. I'm not going to use it. This is just to kind of make up for what it was. And I think it wasn't the black and white one. I think it was like the MDX one or something like that. Or,
I mean,
it
and
was it was
that's still a not easy one to
yeah,
find even back then. So.
yeah, and it was for free. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, and he's like, I apologize, but those, I guess, two figures, they just kind of have like a little sentimental value to me, and there's a story behind it, and so those are the ones that kind of mean. The Asia Gold one, that was just hard to get.
Mhm.
I had to haggle with somebody for I think like a week, and they just kept raising the price on me because that's the one that was over there, and they only
Mhm.
made like, allegedly 112. There's more than that. But
Secret safe with us.
yeah, and the
So let
internet.
me ask you this then, since Mezco is your main thing, what would be a Grail figure for them to come out with? Like, what would be the ultimate character or version of something that they could release that you would just freak out over?
Oh man, they already did. So I don't know how much Michael's told you, but so I have a line of communication with them. It's I'm able to kind of talk to them, and every once in a while, I'll talk to the owner of the company. I'm very fortunate, and so there's a nice thing that goes on between it because he'll ask me, "Hey, well, what's going on in the community?" And I'll say, "Well, this is this. These are kind of some hot stuff and everything like that." He kind of takes that feedback, and then he'll also tell me stuff that I can kind of pass down. So there's like this gray area. Like I said, you can step in one and step in the other. And so I'm sure they already had it designed, but I was talking to him ad nauseum about like Dick Tracy. I was like, man, I love Dick Tracy. I was like, I really hope you guys do that. And he's like, oh yeah. And then but that for me, that would have been it. But they've already done it, and I'm trying
That's
to think.
cool.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's because of me. Like I said, I'm
That's
pretty
what
sure
I'm
they
hearing.
already
I'm
had that
hearing
in
that you
design.
were like, hey, my BFF Mez, I really want a Dick Tracy figure. He's
Yeah,
like, you know what? I'll one up you. I'll make you a 2-pack.
yeah. You guys are welcome. Just kidding. No, but that would be one, and another one they haven't done, and I keep telling them this too. The Luke Cage. I would love to have a Luke Cage figure. They already have Iron Fist. I think it just kind of goes hand in hand. They
Mhm.
got, they have. I thought they were going to do it with the John Stewart Green Lantern
Mhm.
because they have the bald head, and they have the alternate head, and I'm like, oh, there's the head. That's all they need. They can just
Yeah.
put it, a white thing. But now that they have Roadblock, I think that would not yet, but you've seen pictures of Roadblock. I was
Mhm.
like, there's that. I was like, there's no
Yeah,
excuse.
they've got the head, they've got the big bulky body. We're good to go.
Yeah, so the Roadblock would be one, but Dick Tracy was definitely one, and I really hope they go into that line a little bit. There's some characters that they can really do. They kind of strive at that, like the not so mainstream, but some of the off-brand stuff where they can add a little bit of their own flavor to it. Like
Mhm.
if you would have said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make Nosferatu," and you would have told people that they went, "That's not gonna work." But they seem to be able to knock out those little niche figures like Popeye and
Mhm.
Bluto, and I mean some of these other ones. You're just like, "Geez, Captain Nemo." That's another one. You would have told people, "Yeah, making Captain Nemo." They're like, "What?" Most of the people in the group they didn't even know who that character was.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so that's what they kind of specialize. So it'd be really cool if they did Luke Cage. Yeah, that's it.
All right, there we go.
Awesome.
I mean, I just want them to revive that Batmobile they teased like 6 years ago. That's all I want.
Oh,
I know it's not happening, but a girl can dream.
yeah. It's like a great dream. It would be, yeah, it would be cool. One thing that I thought they were going to probably do because they put so much money into it, and it sounded like, from the hangout, like he was putting so much money into it. It just seemed like it wasn't going to get off the ground because you're trying to merge the price point with the production, and it's kind of
Mhm.
hard because you know how Mezco collectors are like, that's too expensive. It's always this fluctuation. It's like something costs $95 and that's a good price point, and then you get something that's 85, and they're like, that's too expensive. And
Yeah.
so but I thought that maybe they would do something where they would pick up some of the success that Hasbro has been having and just do like Kickstarters or backer,
Oh yeah, like a
and that
crowdfunded kind of thing. That'd be.
yeah, I was like maybe I thought they maybe do that with the Batmobile or even maybe do something smaller. Like there's tons of little vehicles like they have the Doc Knock plane and the Doc Knock car.
Mhm.
Even if you wanted to strip it down, maybe do like a Doc Knock motorcycle or something like that. But I always thought that maybe that would be something they would do. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is our concept. And if you guys want to back it, because that's where it seems like companies are going. Like, I mean, look at
Yeah.
HasLab. It's just
Every
they
other
got a
week, we
rankle
got
Less
for that.
something.
overall risk.
Yeah, you don't make it, you don't make it. And so, but
Hmm.
I don't know if it would work for them because there's figures that take a long time. So I don't know if they would be patient. I don't know. I don't think they have the production that Hasbro has to be able to
Yeah.
say, okay, let's do this, and we'll just bang it out in 12 months. They would have to
Right.
design it and do it. And I don't think Mezco collectors are that patient. So.
No, not at all. Every week it's where's my Michael Keaton Batman?
Well, we've been waiting 2 years on that one, so
Yeah,
and that wasn't a Kickstarter. I ordered that.
That's
yeah,
another
Green
thing
I
is,
did.
it feels like a lot of, at least anymore, a lot of the Mezco pre-orders, I mean, granted, they're open to e-retailers and stuff and comic book shops, are almost at that kind of same level as a Kickstarter, because it's essentially like it's open for 48 hours or whatever, and whoever orders it, and they'll order a little bit extra just, to have it. But for the most part, it seems like they are borderline made to order anymore.
yeah. I think the Batman thing is funny because there's a running joke about that because I keep saying I wonder what the next figure is that people are going to complain about because John Wick was the first one, and now you have this Batman, and then I keep thinking somebody's like, oh, well, once I get this Batman, I'm totally out of this line. I'm never going to collect this line. And everybody's like, they're just taking too long. And I'm just looking at it going, I go, I wonder what the next figure is that people are going to be complaining about. Because it just doesn't stop. It never even, that's the part about it. I was having a discussion about it with one of my friends. I was like, you notice there's this pattern. I don't think collectors can get out of. It's like that unattainable thing, and they just want to complain about something. But as soon as it comes out, it's it's maybe hot for like a week or two, and then it's done. Like Vapor, everybody's Vapor, 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 and then I think the only person I've seen taking a picture of that in probably about a week or two is Jordan. He does some great work, but it's just funny. It kind of fizzles out. I had a the MDX Blade before it even came out.
Mm-hmm.
The one with the vest and stuff. They only made like two. Amazon shipped it to somebody,
Yeah.
two people, and it kind of got out. So I was able to grab one of those from a guy. I traded like a PX Punisher for him, and so there was only two. And so I got that, and I looked at it, I was messing around with it and stuff, and then kind of put it away. And everybody was always saying, "Oh, well, these figures are out. We want it. We want it. We want it." And they complained about it for a year, and then they put up the pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got their chance, and those figures got pushed out. And then, a week later, that figure's completely forgotten. I haven't seen a picture of that, but it's the same thing. It's like everybody they need something to kind of attach onto, and then Batman '89 is it. It's just a bad circle. And everybody just kind of like kicks themselves in. One of those things that just makes collecting and then the whole hobby just bad. Because I can, like I said, I can sit in my room and I can look around and I'm like, holy shit, there's like 170 figures in here, of Mezco. And I go, I don't see how anybody can say, you know what, I need this one figure to make me happy. You got so many other things.
Hype chasing. It's the excitement of knowing it's coming, and then when it gets there, you're like, all right, what's next? What else is coming?
Exactly.
Yep.
There's gotta be
It's
something
always
else.
chasing that high.
Yeah.
Chasing the dragon.
Yeah. I do think that they're probably gonna like change some of that stuff. My words. About the pre-order. I think they've heard so much feedback about people, when's it gonna come out? When's it gonna come out? I think they're gonna kind of tighten up windows. They used to do it where they would just say Q4. That way they weren't locked into any of that stuff. And it worked out pretty well because everybody's like, oh, that's gonna be
Right.
and that would throw a speed bump for some people. Is that a December or what is that? So, but I think they're going to probably start doing that, or maybe tighten up the windows now. They have a good reputation, not I guess, a good buzz about them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if they just put something out and they said, "Oh, this is going to come out in 2 more months," people will be like, "Oh crap, oh crap," and it lessens that wait time and reason for people to get mad about stuff because there's a lot of stuff that goes into that people don't know. It's a headache. Yeah, the whole process is a headache.
They almost need to take the NECA approach and just like here's a tease, here's some, and then like 6 months later here's solicitations, and then like 3 months before they're ready to go into production, like pre-order it now, and then like everyone's like, oh wow, I forgot this was even a thing, and then like all of the hassle of like when's this gonna come out just kind of goes away.
It works like they did the Gotham by Gaslight Joker. They put that out.
2 days later,
they had whatever numbers, and then it shipped out. And I think that was a conversation he and I had about it. We were like, oh yeah, I was like, man, it's just there's so much emphasis on when's it coming out or why something's getting delayed because
Mhm.
you never know how long you waited for something. All these other companies, they have it down or packed a little bit better because you wouldn't know that you waited for Batman 89 2 years unless they started the timeline on it.
Mhm.
If they would have said Batman 89 is coming out and stuff like that or something like that, and they waited until some of the stuff was kind of tightened up, like maybe if they did it a year ago, you technically would be waiting a year, but you don't know that because it's already been in development. They're working through all those processes. And so now you just know, oh, well, I pre-ordered this last year. It's only been a year. And so, you know, ignorance is bliss. And that's what they should probably do with some of the collectors and just be like, yeah, guess what? This is coming out. It'll be out there. You might even fool some of these people and be like, guess what? This is coming out. Oh, wow, cool. Pre-order? Oh my God, it's coming out. You see how hype everybody gets off of that. It's
Oh yeah.
shipping today? Oh my gosh, it's shipping? And it's like,
One person gets an email with that notification. It's shipping in the next week or so, and everyone's just like, oh, "I didn't get an email. Did you get an email?" Like it's hilarious. Just watching it's like just literally like if you're watching a group of pigeons and like one little piece of bread shoots out there, they're all looking around like, "Where's the rest of the bread?" Like,
I see that stuff. There's so many things I've seen. Like, the T-shirt one was probably the funniest. It was I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. There was this conspiracy theory about, oh, they're only shipping out the extra large shirts and they're only shipping to this region. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys got to stop this stuff. It's not the way it works. They have a palette and they have a list of names and they're just doing it that way. They're not
yeah.
going, oh, this person talked trash about us. Send him to the back of the line. There's none of that stuff. There's no conspiracy theories. They got guys in there just trying to do their job and they're not trying to like.
See, I don't know. I kind of almost like the mythos of like Mez being that petty that he comes down from the office to the warehouse and just be like, you know what? Screw that guy in particular. Put his last. He had a mean tweet. Like,
Yeah. The list, he has a list of Jericho and he goes down to the basement.
yes.
Like, Michael, Paige, don't send those, leave those for
Yep.
last. Put those off in the corner and make them wait 2 more weeks past that.
Yeah. That would be.
Yeah.
I want that to be a thing instead of all of these like YouTube like vignettes they do with the pink skulls. I just want like one of Mez with like a list, and he starts listing people's Twitter handles. And be like, all right, you're not getting your Batman until 3 years from now.
Did you see that tweet that they did the other day on a
Which
guy?
one?
He's like, which one? Yeah, they do a lot of them. But
Because I'm just so used to NECA of Randy being so like passive aggressive on Twitter that I can't keep up with these companies.
yeah, I like it, but because I think it's funny. Like I think if you open that door,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have the same mentality about it in the group. I'd rather handle things privately, but if you want to do something publicly, then you've opened the door for it to happen. And so, but some guy said, I don't know. Oh, the Halloween thing. The Halloween 2, the figure came out and it said it would be coming next year. And of course, the jokes start rolling. Oh, it's going to be Halloween 2022 or Halloween 2023.
This, yeah.
And then, yeah, they responded and they go, whatever his name was, his handle was Paige, check. 2022, 2023 for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. But it's nice. It's nice to see that they have kind of like a little sense of humor about it, but then it also kind of puts collectors in line and say, hey, man, we're just trying to do our job. We don't need to be like that. It's crazy.
As long as it's done right, I think it's fun. There's some, like, I don't know if you keep up with it since you don't really do the NECA stuff, but Randy, the lead designer for NECA, for whatever reason, took it upon himself to run the Twitter on top of that, which I feel like that is a terrible life choice, especially if you're not specifically being paid for it. And you could tell when he's just fed up with it because he just gets real bad real quick with some of his responses, and like he just is like gives zero shits. And some people he'll be real nice to, and in other people he'll just be like, no, why would I do that for you? Or like he'd be like, never. Or he'll just start like intentionally like being passive aggressive to some of the tweets that he gets, and it's like some of it's like really funny, some of it's like, okay, this is This is very
You're
getting a
like,
little. This is getting a little personal. You might want to.
yeah,
You should probably go. Take a breather, Randy.
Yeah.
Like,
Reel it in, Randy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then he
Are you
disappears
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, do you guys do admin groups or do you guys not? Oh, you lucky guys. I don't know how he did it. Like, and that following is way more, but it is sometimes. I remember when I first started. It was draining at first because you're dealing with so many personalities and you're dealing with so many things. It's hard to come up with this like straight line gray, just a straight line period where you're like, okay, I don't deviate from that stuff because it's constant, it's every day, and I don't know how anybody in social media is able to keep some of their sanity. So for him to take on that responsibility solely, it's like I can understand why he would take a break because you're just getting bombarded, he's a creative too, so it's almost like a personal dig to him too. It's like, like, well, you don't like my product? Oh my gosh, I'm designing this stuff and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm giving it to you for $20 and you guys are complaining about that stuff. And I kind of like empathize with some of those guys, like, because I'll hear from the side. I hear all the stuff, and I don't think a lot of people really understand. There was something that we, he and I talked about something with Superman once, and he said that he delayed it because there were certain parts of it that he didn't like, and he knew it wasn't going to go over well. And there was something with the costume too. And then there was also something with the smiling head sculpt that they had. I don't know if you guys remember that. So they retooled some of that stuff. They redid some of that stuff, but it pushed the date back. And then he said, I don't think a lot of people noticed this either, but he said because of the weight, he threw an extra head sculpt in there. And nobody ever said anything about it.
Oh my God, I didn't realize he did that either.
Man, he threw something like usually, what's the other one? The Gomez of Death. I think that
one I
kind of
know.
had a
Yeah,
little
that
bit
one
of
I
a,
do remember them getting the extra head on though.
yeah, but there was a little bit of a delay. There was some kind of like snafu, and they said, okay, let's throw these extra heads in. I guess I can tell you this. That MDX blade, that wasn't supposed to ever come out. That, but then they heard people wanted it. They saw that there was a demand for it, and they said, okay, let's put it in production. That figure originally wasn't supposed to happen. And so they have their finger on the pulse of certain things, and they do try to do that. But it goes back to what I said. I don't think a lot of people understand some of the stuff that goes into it. They do try to make it up in their own way, but that's the part of me that sees it because I'll hear some of these things, not just from him, but from other companies, and you're like, God, and then you'll just have somebody say, "Oh, this sucks, man. I didn't get the grip hand. They should have included the grip hand, or it's not the shade of purple I want." I'm like, come on, man. Don't let it ruin your experience. Just relax. It's just a toy. Just have fun. So.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it's all about. It's all just toys, and we should play with them and just have a good time and not lose our minds to all the craziness on the internet. But that is going to be it for this session of Toyfarerapy. So make sure
I told you I talk a lot.
Hey, like I said, it was your session. You could take as long as you needed. So, because you even joked about, you're like, oh man, I feel bad whoever edits the show, and I'm like, that's me, and it's all gonna stay. I'm like, as long as you don't say anything that's gonna get all of us canceled, it stays.
No.
But yeah, check us out Instagram, Twitter at Modern Toyfare. Occasionally post pictures. I'm a little behind, kind of getting my schedule back into the swing of things. Please make sure to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff for more Toyfarerapy, and also weekly reviews and our Modern Toyfare podcast, where me, Nate, and Jarmar get together and just kind of talk about whatever toy stuff we want to talk about for that week. Make sure every Wednesday, live twitch.tv/Modern Toyfare. We have our weekly purchases at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also check the video on demand version if you miss it live, so you can go back and watch it. We've hit a point where I think you can watch up to 30 days now. I don't know how Twitch works. I just kind of show up, press a button, and hope that we're live. Jarmar can be found over on YouTube with Why Are You a Gamer, where he posts clips of the games he plays along with potentially season 1 of Why You a Gamer going up now that he finally has all the stuff he needs. So go subscribe to that to get him motivated once he moves into his new place. Also check him out, twitch.tv/Jarmar_games every Thursday for Thirst Thursdays, where he plays Apex with some of our friends, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so great. Nate, got anything you'd like to plug for us? Anything exciting going on?
Nope. I'm good.
Just the magnificent
This is
beard
what I
getting
do.
longer.
Yeah.
So check Nate out every week here on Modern Toyfare.
Yeah, just see how long the beard gets.
Exactly. And of course,
I didn't have it 2 months ago. So
you didn't. Yeah, it was an interesting transition that we've gone through. It's a journey. And I'd be remiss if I didn't throw it off to Paige, our guest. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, wow. Well, I actually just started doing a lot of this stuff, being a little bit more committed to it, but everything is going to be under the Toy Page. You can go to Instagram. It'll be at the Toy Page, Paige. Facebook would be the same thing, the Toy Page. YouTube is going to be, guess what? The Toy Page. And those are the only two things I had. And I thank you for walking me through tonight, because I had no idea what this was, Discord or anything. I've heard about it before, but thank you for walking me through this. It's like a new platform, and I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we were more than happy to kind of switch to wherever you needed us to, but when you were willing to do it, I'm like, that makes it so much easier. I will walk you through everything step by step.
Oh, yeah. You guys are very accommodating. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much, and thank you for just letting me ramble.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being on.
We loved it.
The pleasure's all ours, and especially because this is a landmark. You are the first guest who isn't just someone that we know in real life. So, like, this is a big test to see see if people keep coming on the show after this or not.
I tried setting the bar low for my episode, but you just moved the bar up too high, man.
Luckily, there were no stories about throwing accessories away. But yeah, I will make sure to have the links for everything with the Toy Page, Instagram, YouTube. I'll put the Facebook in there as well. So that way, if you want, you can just go down the description below and click on that, and it'll take you straight there. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube, follow on socials. And of course, let us know in the comments below who you'd like to see come sit on the couch next. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. And as always, don't forget to come sit on the couch.